Hello everyone. Today I will talk about the topic of the evaluation of conversation. So this topic is focused on the artificial intelligence product like Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, which is based on which is focused on the human-computer interactions with voice user interface. So in order to provide a better neutral language understanding solution, it's necessary to have an outstanding evaluation system which is able to provide a valuable feedback that allow the system to improve. However, currently in the market, we don't have a standard or the rubric to follow. So we have to figure out how to do the evaluation of this kind of product by ourselves. So firstly, I will introduce some traditional methodology that we use to evaluate a dialogue system or conversational system. So the first one called the F1 score, the second one called Bloor metric, the third one is Metro. So those kind of methodology are very good for tasks like machine translation. However, in terms of dialogue system, this kind of method is not working very well. For instance, let's see the examples here. So let's, if we ask a dialogue system a question like, do you like watching movie? And the different dialogue system may give a different answers based on these questions. Let's see the slides shows here. The answer 1 to 4 actually is from 4 different real smart assistants in the market. So the first one gave the answer is, yes, I really like the Hollywood movies, which is closely related with the questions. And second one is, I haven't watched the movie for a long time. It's also related with the questions. And third one is, I like the action movie. It's the same. It's still we still can say it's fairly good answers. And the fourth one is, it seems like a science fiction movies. So we can see that those 4 answers are all quite make sense for based on these questions. So now like we have to the question is how we can make a smart decisions to give a score for like each interface. To each dialogue interface, gave a score to compare which one is better performance than others. So in order to do the evaluations, firstly, we need to understand the dialogue system. The dialogue system are basically can be classified into 3 different types, which is the task-driven dialogue system, closed domain dialogue system, and open domain dialogue system. We will go through it one by one. So firstly is the text-driven dialogue system. So here, for the text-driven dialogue system, we focus on the efficiency of the system. Like this kind of system are, for instance, like booking a hotel or air ticket or just order pizza like the slide shows here. So we focus on the high retention rate and high completion rate. And also we trying to make we want the dialogue rounds is count less and faster, which means less round of dialogue system, less round of dialogue can make the task complete faster. And for the another example here is a closed domain dialogue system. So here, let's example like check weather and the call center or smart TV. The good example is the Google Assistant. So the Google Assistant is example of closed domain dialogue system. So for this kind of dialogue system, we focus on the low repeat ratio, like low repeat rate of query. So we don't want the user to repeat the query again and again, but the system didn't get it. So low repeat rate is the key of this kind of dialogue system when we do the evaluations. And also the low fail rate. So we need to make sure that all the query that user given is able to accept and understood by the system, so that the system can successfully understand the query and give a properly answer back. So the low failure rate. And last but not least is the low ratio of artificial intervention. So for instance, like a call center, right? So we want to make sure that this kind of dialogue system can handle most of human force, so that people don't need to spend a lot of time on the call center to answer users' questions. If the dialogue system always cannot answer the user's questions and just send the user to the artificial workers, like the real person to answer the question, then the system is we cannot say the system is successful. And the third one is the open domain dialogue system. This one is quite tricky. Like this means like any topic, any kind of query you can ask, and system need to answer. This kind of system, for instance, like a greeting, or a gender topic, or just gossip news. So like for open domain system, the evaluation is very, very hard. Because you cannot easily make a standard touchstone for this type of system. Like for instance, here we show two examples. The top one is answered by Alexa. The question is, Alexa, what did you eat last night for dinner? And the answer by Alexa is, sorry, I don't know that one. So this is normally the safe answer by Alexa whenever she don't know how to answer the user's query. But obviously, this is an open domain question, and it's not quite hard for answer in the real life. But the dialogue system cannot very easy to handle those kind of questions. Another example is, can I ask you for a date? The question query is for Apple Siri, and the answer is who? Me? Okay, that is a fairly good answer actually. But you can get an idea of what is the open domain dialogue system. And a well-known methodology is, so we will focus on the open domain dialogue system, how to evaluate those kind of systems, because we already talk about how to evaluate the dialogue system like closed domain questions, closed domain dialogue system, and the text-driven dialogue system. But for the open domain dialogue system, we need to think about how to do it. And a well-known method is called CPS. It's also called conversation per session, which is introduced by Microsoft Xiaobing. It illustrates that more conversational round for each session is better dialogue system, which means if the dialogue system can have a more round of conversation with a user, which that means the dialogue system is good. However, let's see the examples here. So we can just keep talking with the system, and the system always give back the answer. But those answers are just not make sense, right? So let's see, how's weather today? And the answer is like, do you like it? And I keep asking, I don't know what you mean, and they're asking why. So it's trying to keep talking with you and make more rounds. However, those are not a valuable conversation. We cannot easily say that more rounds of dialogue mean in a conversational system means a good conversation system. So, however, we can still evaluate the open domain system. So we require some human factor and labor force to try to handle this impossible seems like impossible things because it's costs a lot of time and also it's impossible to cover everything. So here we need to focus on these there's three issues we need to solve. First is objective of the evaluation. Second one is the reasonable of evaluation. Third one is accessible of evaluations. So I invent a way to do the evaluation for the open domain dialogue system. So the methodology is trying to distribute, like distribution of, make the evaluation distribute into 4 different dimensions. So which are the content dimensions and the divergent dimensions, emotion dimensions, and the relevancy dimensions. For each kind of dimensions, we can ask the annotator or we design a bunch of true or false questions, which is more objective because true or false question is easy to make the question more objective. So that the annotator do some human labor, annotator to evaluate those, to answer those questions in this way to do the evaluations. And also for this kind of questions, we design 3 different ways to make sure the methodology of evaluation is reasonable and accessible. Firstly, we use a free marginal kappa to define if the annotator are cheating during the annotation task. And then we use the grading system with a standard grading system to do the evaluation. So that always come out with the same standard result. And then we use a Likert questionnaire to ask all the annotators to see if they are doing well during the evaluation task. So in the summary, this task illustrates an evaluation for conversational user interface. We talk about why it is important and why it is a big challenge that people are not able to, we still don't have a standard rubric in the market. Then I introduced the 3 types of dialogue system: the text-driven dialogue system, the closed domain dialogue system, and open domain dialogue system. We mentioned that task-driven and closed domain dialogue system are able to evaluate in an objective way. However, for the open domain dialogue system, it's quite tricky. So then I introduced an evaluation method which distributes the task into the multiple dimensions, and based on each dimensions, design a multiple true or false questions for user and use the human labor to do the annotations to answer those true or false questions and come up with the result. So we also talk about how we measure the evaluation system and how to make a reasonable and easy to assess reasonable evaluation and how to make the evaluation easy to assess. So that's basically my topic today. So thank you for listening. Thank you.